settling yourself into a comfortable upright position. We have Chris.
Chris.
Hello, Chris.
Hello.
Mel is
Happy
flapping her hair at you, Chris. That's that's how she says hello when she's excited. We have a bright, sunny day here. It's pretty amazing. Turning that off?
I do not.
With each exhalation, letting your body soften. With each inhalation, your mind grows quiet. Making certain that your body is in a comfortable and upright position. The weight dropping to that point just in front of the sitting bones, the ischial tuberosity.
Gesundheit.
If your weight falls behind those bones, you'll be sitting on your tailbone, which is to say that you're sitting on your lower back. So don't let yourself slump backward, and instead allow the weight to move forward by pivoting and hinging at your hips, keeping your neck released so that your head is floating upward. As you soften, today emphasize a dropping through your body to that point in the chair. Your legs are free and comfortable, very soft. And if you were to draw a line from the crown of the head through the center of the body, in front of the spine, to that space where we are sitting, more or less, you want to have a sense that that line is full and free. I could also use words like empty. Empty in the sense of being free of tension. So the center of your neck is empty in that it is no longer being gripped and held. The center of your torso is empty because there's space for your breath. We're not contracting toward the center of our body. This sense of spaciousness that develops inside our body, all the way down through the abdomen, and if you're able to allow this line to be empty, and then softening your physical structure around it, just letting everything fall through and around, resting in the chair while allowing that space to remain empty and upright, this wonderful sense of lightness begins to accompany the sinking of the rest of your body. This feeling of freedom moving up through the middle of your body, effortlessly lifting the top of your head, softening your neck. Not because you are pushing anything up. This is still entirely a sinking process. Don't start trying to push your energy upward. All you are doing is letting go. And your body responds with freedom that allows you to be held upward effortlessly. Just one more minute of release. Becoming very clear about this capacity to sink your body while remaining suspended, even if it's something you only vaguely feel. This is the direction you want to shape your body, becoming free and settled. And as we continue through the rest of the class, allow this central line. We talked about this a bit during the 8 extraordinary vessels discussion in an earlier class. You also want your spine to be free, the vessel associated with that area of your body. You can only do that if you take the weight out of it. If you're sitting on your tailbone or slouching or pushing and holding yourself up, then you obstruct that. But if you can allow the body to rest through the center line, your spine becomes effortless. It's allowed to expand open. Similarly with the front of your body. If you're not contracting it or trying to push it out, then it's allowed to sink effortlessly. So letting go of all of these spaces in the body. There's a little belt under your computer there if you want to wear that.
Oh.
Under your computer.
Thank you.
When you're ready, get your hands nice and warm. Those things are so nice. Mel is using one of those little hot packs that I talked about in an earlier class.
Do you want to show it real quick?
No, it's okay. We already did show and tell. Softening the top of the head, releasing the neck, softening the shoulders, maintaining that sense of this central line being released and free. The longer you remain in this place where your body is effortlessly released and sinking, and the center of your body is empty and free, it begins to fill. It fills with breath and it fills with qi, a kind of qi that allows you to become very stable so that you can push on your head and that central line just stays connected and you don't have to fight anything so that your neck can stay relaxed. But you can only cultivate that if you empty your neck and keep your body very soft. It's a thing that happens to you because you let go. It is not a thing you try to do. Similarly, when you're working on the back of your head or your neck, avoid collapsing forward or tightening up your shoulder. Maintain that same central line that we're talking about. And when I say maintain it, that's the same thing as saying continue to release your body down to the ground, becoming free in the center so that it can fill with stability, lightness. Just like with the breath and the mind and emotions, all we do is get out of the way. It's a definite theme in these Daoist practices. if you're somebody that struggles a lot with scoliosis or maybe a big hump at your neck, and so that relaxing your neck upward still looks like this, or for me, it was like this, the thing to do continuously is to release and release. You're still only letting things go upward. Don't apply force to that area because it just creates compound stresses elsewhere in the body. If it's really bad, you would get treatment, do practices like snake and turtle that help loosen your neck up. But for this set, please, again, do not use force, but do spend time, extra time, warming this area back here. You could spend 3 or 4 times as long as we do in this class, softening this area if for you it's especially crooked and tight. And it will take some time, but eventually that central channel, this quality of lifting that happens through the body because we let go, that will eventually straighten you out from the inside, not because you're applying pressure on the outside. It's a very different method. Warmth soaking in, softening around and behind the eyes. Feeling that space between the skin and the muscle, or the skin and the bone. Sometimes in the beginning of the set, it takes a little bit of time before our awareness easily soaks into these places, just to get into the mode of feeling that area. And if that's the case, take a little extra time in the beginning on each of these movements until your awareness soaks in. Don't just skip past it. And if you cannot yet feel a few millimeters or maybe 1 millimeter beneath the surface of the skin, then continue to soften your body, soften your mind, and just pay attention. You can use the heat in your hands as a guide. You'll feel the heat soak in past the skin, and just pay attention to the movement inward. What do you feel down inside? Let the heat take you in, and that should be very helpful. softer and softer with each movement. And as I do in every class, I'd like to welcome those people that found themselves here from around the internet. If you're not quite sure what's going on, please do check down below in the comment section for a video introduction, a lesson for this particular set, as well as a list of the names of the movements and the points we're pressing. And that should help you with this process of joining us for these live classes. We do love that you join us for these live classes. Your awareness soaking into the skin. That corner of the jaw. Just enough so that the weight of your fingers sink below the surface of the skin, seeking that layer of fascia on top of the musculature in this case, just beneath the skin. If you pay attention, you'll notice there's a different feeling between just moving across the surface of the skin, and as you sink in, the tissue seems to thicken slightly. There's a layer here you can interact with, both with your fingers and your mind. Continuing to let go and soften, releasing the breath. Remember that as we warm this line in front of the ear, you also want to warm behind the ear.
you laughing?
Always spend some time settling, especially after working on the head. Take the time to feel everything sink, your breath deepen, your mind grow quieter, your awareness sinking into the space, at least into the navel, and if you can, behind the navel.
Everybody is very impressed with your clothing choices.
The dark green, people like the forest green.
Yeah. Chris says, I am teaching you well. Aw, thanks, Chris. I wish I could take credit.
Definitely take credit.
It is all you.
Oh, we have Adele and an Anna. Welcome. Nice to have you both. Today we're emphasizing the release of that central line. So as you sit, keeping the weight appropriately settled through in the chair in the right position. Crown of the head stays floating upward. Becoming empty in the middle, free. Allowing that sense of emptiness to become, but not because you fill it, but because it naturally becomes full as you make space. Likewise, when the weight is resting around the body, that is, we're letting everything fall through and we're being supported through this midline, the weight is taken out of the spine. And this allows for a deep sense of dignity. If you were to sit in a dignified posture, there'd be this comfortable, full is free. You're not sitting on your spine. So instead, there's this gentle lengthening and opening of the spine, this sense of release upward and outward across the back. And so as that Du channel, the Du vessel becomes free, can you sense that quality of dignity, uprightness, jiangxi, that not sure whatever term there is for it.
I felt that many times. You're the first person I've heard call it a deep sense of dignity.
And in the Chinese, they always use words like referring to royalty. Sit like a royal person, but I don't really. I'm from the United States. We're not big fans of royalty, so I don't think of that in those terms. But definitely from that deep well of confidence, not overconfidence,
Not arrogance.
Not arrogance. That's right. Whatever that quality is, you want to allow that to be present in your posture. My Zen teachers would always use terms like dignified sitting, and they're referring to the nature of the spine. But you don't want to hold your spine upright. You want to release your body, release your spine, and then be supported from the inside through the middle so that your spine is able to open and be free. So through this whole space of the arm, see if you can allow for that quality as you sit. The main part of your awareness, of course, is still here on the points that you're working, connecting with the fascia. But this open, dignified posture is one way that will help clear your mind, help direct your intent more clearly. One way of thinking about the channels, the primary channels we learned about, is that they are the movement of your mind in your body. And so by learning to free and express various qualities of your mind, the channels themselves also become more free. Softening along the heart, small intestine channel. Continuing to soften from your shoulders, through your elbows, your hands, getting more and more relaxed and gentle with each moment. Cultivating a sense of kindliness, friendliness. supporting circulation all the way to the tips of your fingers. And pay attention, there will always be one that needs a little bit of extra attention. So you want to spend a few moments there. And again, just as a reminder, all of these points are listed down below in a document that's next to the introductory lesson, down below in the doobly-doo. Softening the front of the shoulder. So now we've spent some time settling the body so that the central channel is free and open, so that there's a sense of easy lightness as we sit. And we've spent time making sure that the spine is free and effortless, and it begins to express a sense of a dignity, an uprightness. And as we work on this next arm, allow a sense of freedom along the front of the body as well. Usually if you can free the spine, it also helps to free the front of the body. So you might already be feeling that. Not suspending and holding the chest, not holding the breath, tightening things. Let all of this be free, sinking down toward the Dantian. And what's the kind of feeling that you find as you release this layer, this aspect of your body? It's this perfect complement to the dignity, this unforced confidence that we get from the back. It's this receptiveness, this vulnerability, a kind of graciousness and grace. And both, of course, are absolutely important to cultivate. We all know people who've only developed one half of the personality and not the other. So in a way, you can think of them as two halves of the same skill, the same kind of self-expression, of genuine confidence. Genuine confidence contains vulnerability, acceptance, a willingness to listen. Bullies are never genuinely confident. Overbearing people are never cultivated. You have this quality of dignified, upright expansiveness, and this quality of vulnerable acceptance, a gentleness, a nurturing quality. Both have to be together and in equal amounts. That's one of the ways that we cultivate. So if you find yourself lacking one of those qualities in particular, then emphasize this aspect of your posture, this quality being released in your posture. Remember that your mind and your body are all one flow. Continuing to make space in the middle so that you can become full and effortlessly supported. Allowing the freedom in your spine and the softness in the front. Taking your time with each of these points. Noticing how the quality of your touch changes if you are embracing these qualities of posture, these qualities of mental posture. Continuing to soften your hands, to allow softness to accumulate in your hands. I'm right-handed, and so I tend to, because of all of the kinds of work that I do, have tension accumulated in my right side. And so I save my right arm for last, so that there's extra time for softness to accumulate as I'm practicing. So by the time I come to this, it's had more time to release as I get in here, and my left hand is that much softer and more prepared to do healing work. And so you might find that helpful if you save the more difficult side for last as we work through the body. Or in the very least, just put in the extra time to help it soften. Washing the arms. Sinking down both times. And again, as we do closing, please do emphasize sinking through your structure while maintaining this sense of fullness that holds you up, freedom in the front and the back of your body. You're not collapsing. You're allowing things to settle through your structure, like dust settling through water. The clarity floating up to the top, but not because you push anything up. All you do is let everything sink down. The more you sink, the clearer your water becomes.
Do you like more tea?
Whenever you go downstairs, I will hand it to you. Are you sure? Thank you. You are so kind. Bye.
Hi, I'll be right back.
Here, as you soften down the front, recognize the quality of opening in the back that comes with this sinking. Softening your chest so your spine in the back is released. If you were to lift your chest, it would compress your back. Here, you're softening your spine. But because the weight is resting through the center line, not in the front or the back, you're not collapsing downward. Instead, you're simply allowing everything to travel down. Softening the solar plexus. Using whichever part of your hand seems to be helping you the most. And then down, placed between the solar plexus and the navel. This point is along the Ren line, the Ren Mai, number 12. So as you soften this line, continuing to let everything sink, just freeing the chest. You don't have to depress the chest. You don't have to push it down. That would be adding something. You get better and better at taking away the obstructions. You don't want to push chi through here. You just get out of the way. The warmth from your hands soaking into this point is very beneficial for your digestion. This quality of strengthening the spleen and the stomach. Noticing as well how much easier it is to breathe, how much freer your breath is as you let go of this area in your torso. Sinking down, gathering toward the middle. Especially gentle here, of course, if you happen to have tender breast tissue. Emphasizing again the downward motion, sinking through. "36, successively larger and larger circles outward. And then 24 spirals back in the opposite direction. Your awareness, again, soaking into that space between the skin and the muscle. So if you press too hard, you'll push right past it and obstruct it. If you're having trouble feeling that space, it could be that you're using too much force. Thank you. You're so kind. Sorry if you were standing there for very long while my awareness was inside my body.
Oh, no, not at all.
The more often you're able to settle your awareness down through your body into this space in the middle dantian, the better your health becomes, the more stable your mind becomes, the more grounded your emotions become. Cultivating this space is very powerful as medicine. But we have to do it through this process of letting go, not through pushing. If you push your awareness here, it does the opposite. More and more gentle, more and more still with each moment. That's part of what makes this practice so powerful. Oh. It's probably too hot to drink.
Yeah, it's pretty hot.
One of the extraordinary vessels that we discussed in the earlier classes was this belt vessel, daimai. This quality that goes around the center. And so as you swirl your hands around to your back, remember that you don't want to break all of this postural stuff you've been working on. Keep that center line there, your chest released, your back open, and you simply move your shoulder blades as best you can. If it's uncomfortable, of course, use different parts of your hand, maybe one hand at a time, whatever it is that works for you. But as you do that, have a sense of movement through the belt vessel. You could even experiment by going back and forth several times to see if you feel that sense of connection through and around. Remember that I'm increasing the number here that we've been doing on the back. For those of you that have been following through this 100-day series, if you're new to the set, remember to do a fewer number of repetitions to keep your shoulders and arms soft, unless you just find this easy. But you want to stick within the realm of easy and take breaks often. Softer and softer, and the very least your hands growing softer and softer. If you'd like to, with your warm hands afterward, you place them on your back. And you might notice that that feels particularly nourishing. So you can just hang out there, softening and nourishing your back, letting your awareness soak into the space beneath the skin, on top of the muscle. Especially here, this thick, dense layer of the fascia. And then helping it to open, spreading it away from the spine, and warming in the center. At the level of the navel, side to side. Softening your breath, continuing to soften your spine, the front line of your body, releasing the body weight down through to your chair to allow the crown of the head to float upward. The central line is open and free. The breath is free. And again, if you like, allowing the warmth of the hands to flow into the back. Warming from the tailbone up, a little past the Mingmen. Warmth of your awareness soaking in. Again, the warmth soaking into your back. Nourishing and opening, especially along that line that you were just softening open. Remember that the back often closes and is tight because it is cold and weak and contracted. So we're warming and softening and nourishing the tissues, spreading that area open. And then similarly, along the tailbone, fingertips going all the way to the tip of the tailbone if possible. Better to do it on your skin, of course. Keeping your shoulders soft. If you find that this is particularly difficult for your shoulders, it might be worth following some of the shoulder releasing movements in the Qigong videos that I have uploaded. It's not so much what this set is for, but it might be helpful for you. And then when you're ready, the warmth from your hands again soaking in, nourishing through to the tailbone. Your awareness soaking into that space, that fascial layer on top of the bone, in the empty spaces around the tissues, through the bone. Softening the tops of the glutes. And then the side of the glutes, that point 1/3 of the way from this side of the bone toward the tip of the tailbone, in that direction. Gallbladder 30. Huan Tiao.
Huan Tiao.
Mm-hmm. Many people find it useful to do these practices standing. Mel is doing them standing or lying down. Just remember that it's best to use whatever posture works best for you. I'm simply sitting in the chair holding still because it makes it easier to be on camera. But please do find the position and the shape that your body needs in order to open. If it's helping you open, then it's the right shape. Similarly with the technique, If I use my fingertips here to soften this point, another gallbladder point, and I notice that it's working, and then I try my thumb, maybe it doesn't work as well. The base of my palm, base of my thumb, that's a little better. Center of my palm. For me today, the center of my palm seems to be really helping. And I have that sense of warmth and spreading, and my awareness easily sinks into the tissues beneath the skin. So that means it's the right technique for me. But you have to listen to your changes. Find out how to communicate this process of opening. If you're somebody that has a lot of tension along this line, please do be gentle. Trying to force this line to open with hard massage or a massage thumper or something isn't particularly helpful. There's not a lot of tissue here. It's just agitated, stretched connective tissue. So what you would want to do is instead work on the muscles at either end, and that will help to soften that. Or we can work on the points and help to ease the fascia itself with this very light touch, this sense of warming and softening. As we work on these lower extremities, I know it can become difficult for people to maintain a good posture. But if you're able to, please do continue to have this central channel released and open. Your spine free, the front of your body soft. And this belt vessel here, that as it frees, your breath becomes much easier. It's a little easier to twist, but it also relates to your experience and relationship with the world around you in a lot of ways.
Say more.
A lot of people will say, for instance, that if your belt vessel is obstructed, not expressed healthfully, it's hard to use language around the 8 extraordinary vessels because it's not like they're flowing. But if it's not being expressed fully and in the correct way, for instance, then it can become difficult to navigate in the world. Like both literally navigate, you get lost easily, or people feel lost in a kind of self-expression. And the language gets really funny here in Chinese medicine, because there's a kind of feeling lost and aimless that actually has to do with the lung qi, for instance, in Chinese medicine. But in this case, it's more about like our relationship where we are in the world as much as anything else. So it can help with balance and these kinds of qualities. This is an expression because it's linking front and back, side and side in this particular way, like how we are in the world. And so it's one of the ways that people talk about the daimai when it's not expressing itself well. Most often in the clinic, I would just use it if I notice that people have severe restriction in this area, and we would open that up. But oftentimes, one of the kind of esoteric ways of talking about it is navigation. So if you're somebody who gets lost easily in IKEA.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Mm-hmm. It's just one of the ways of talking about it. Just in the same way that if my spine is compressed, it affects our capacity for a sense of dignity in the way that our mind and our body are one kind of expression. And so by allowing that to be free and this quality of uprightness is there, then this deep well of self-respect becomes unlocked in a certain way. And as we soften down the front, it's a little bit easier to nurture and to become graceful, to become gentle, that quality. Receptive, yeah. And with the daimai, it's different because it's relationship with the world in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
It's all very interesting.
It is.
Mm-hmm. And it's different than the primary channels, which are more like, those are the channels in the arms and legs and things that we were working with. Those are related more to aspects of the mind that develop over our lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Acquired characteristics, whereas the 8 extraordinary vessels are more about those deep qualities that are inherent to humans.
Mm-hmm.
Like the nature of a quiet mind is something that we are born with. Everybody has that quality, and then it gets covered up. And so we talk more about the 8 extraordinary vessels not being expressed or being obstructed in that sense, like covered up the way we cover up the sun. And then the yin wei, yang wei, the other extraordinary vessels that I talked about,
Mm-hmm.
that are kind of about how we relate to ourselves in various ways. Physically, just linking channels across the body, connecting left and right, top and bottom, those kinds of qualities. But also about how we relate to ourselves, like in the sense of how we see ourselves through time, for instance.
Mm.
So the yin chao and the yang chao, or the yang wei, are both like ways of talking about one dealing with time, one dealing with space, connection between inner and outer instead of left and right, these kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting stuff. It's not really a thing you use in the clinic, but it's kind of just a fascinating way to see humans.
Yeah.
That are the expressions of our mind are in our body, and they're in physical locations. They're ways that we can think about it and things that we can heal through the body rather than just the ephemera of the mind. But just to say it, because I don't know who's watching this, if you do find yourself having intense mental and emotional issues, please do seek out a professional to help. Because there are people that spend their whole lives helping people. And sometimes it's very important to talk to somebody who can help you through a very difficult time. And it can be dangerous just to try to work yourself by playing with channels and acupressure and things like that. So just in case, for somebody who really needs it and is in a very precarious situation, please do reach out to people, even if it's just friends and family. I think we live in a world where there seem to be more and more people who are being pushed to the limit of their capacity.
Oh, for sure.
And doing things like this that soften and center and quiet you and heal your body in this gentle way, I think are universally helpful. But sometimes people need something a bit stronger. When you need it now. So you want to be able to reach out to those people. Warming spleen 6. And again, just as a reminder, if you are able to, sitting in a way that Maintains that line through the center, the freedom in your spine, the softness and emptiness in the front of your body, a comfortable breath and freedom in your waist. Don't begin to restrict yourself if you can help it. Softening your hands, softening your mind, your breath, your whole body. How does your calf feel?
Really hard.
Good chance to work on it.
Yeah.
Thank you for the tea.
You're welcome.
Trying to get better at sitting on this so people feel encouraged to sit on something themselves. So even as you move forward, there's this sense of lengthening through the middle, softness in the front. You're not lifting the front. You're not crunching and scrunching your back. Your spine continues to lengthen and be free. All the way down, there's this freedom through your body as best you can. If you start to lose those connections, that sense of throughness, then you've gone too far. Your breath should remain unrestricted. And if you like to lay down, you're certainly welcome to. It might be a nice way to let your body open. I apologize. I always try to make sure I end the class on time. But you can always do any of these practices longer, spend more time lying down, sitting, adding the teeth and tongue practices back in. Whatever it is that works for you. You want to make this practice your own. And especially if you continue with it over the rest of your life, off and on or regularly, you'll find that you get better and better at learning which practices and which methods are best for you. You get better at listening. You get softer and quieter. So even lying here, you might notice that you're better at this lying down thing than you were a couple of hours ago. Release your body to the floor. Softening your hips, softening your belly. Your awareness spreads out through your body, especially through this layer that we've been working on. And you can remain laying flat for as long as you'd like, softening and letting go. And at some point, when you feel ready, and you'll know that moment when you feel like you've laid down long enough, then you sit up comfortably, safely, and settle for just a moment in the seated position, centering, letting your awareness spread out into the space around you after it's been so carefully sequestered inside your body. And as always, I thank you very much for joining me. Such a fun practice. And if anybody has questions, please feel free to ask. It can take a few minutes to get through, but I will hang out here, chat with Mel. Mel is always the most popular person in all these classes.
Oh my gosh.
So having her in the background raises the number of likes that I get. It's true. We all know it's true.
Oh, right. Chris says, nice class. I enjoyed that. Sitting dignified reminds me of the great flamenco guitarist, Scal de Lucia.
Paco?
Oh,
Or
yeah.
Pazio?
Yeah.
Pazio de
Probably
Lucia.
Pazio de Lucia.
Yeah.
Thanks as always, and see you later. Bye, Chris. Have a good day.
Bye, Chris. Yeah,
Good night.
you're right about that kind of, that quality of playing. People are just kind of like in these upright, gorgeous positions. You can see it even in a flamenco dancer, these people that are like, and their awareness goes out. And if they're unbalanced, then you'd see them as they're playing or they're doing their thing and their chest is puffed out instead of settled. Now they're frozen in their body. They can't actually move. But somebody who's a master, and I had the chance to actually live with for quite a while and rent a house from a master dancer she was a flamenco dancer, genuinely amazing as a dancer, an older woman. And she would occasionally let her skill show. And you've met her. And it would be interesting because she could just kind of be walking around, doing her thing, crafts, being kind, making tea for people. And then she would hear a song or just for an instant decide to be this dancer queen again. And her whole posture would shift. And it wouldn't be flamboyant like this or nervous. It would just be this full open space. And even if we were in a restaurant, because she's done this in restaurants before, she'd hear a song. And she's the kind of person that would get up in the middle of the restaurant and start dancing around, pulling people out of their seats. And something about her gets away with it. And I think part of it is this quality of just this presence that she exudes. She's mastered her craft. Mm-hmm. And it's that wonderfully poised quality where you're fully dignified and open and expressive, but receptive, because if she's dancing with people, she has to listen. Really amazing. And you see it in lots of great artists and athletes. And I'm also, I think of musicians very often, and martial artists.
Yeah, I think about how ZhiCheng talks about a particular pianist who he, I think, either admired for their posture, or maybe it was the other way around. Maybe this was a pianist who had really poor posture. But in either case, he could hear the impact of their posture on their playing, the softness of their fingers, and the agility of their mind. And
it's really amazing. Yeah. One of the things you see often in the martial arts is like if you watch boxing or any kind of fighting, there will be two fighters out there and they're sort of in this position, in some classical boxing posture or something. And then they're fighting, and there's this moment when they go like this.
They collapse.
They've lost it. They've lost whatever that connection is, that throughness. Now they can no longer move. And that's the moment that hopefully like a coach or somebody pulls them out before they get clobbered. Mm-hmm. And that's the skill of a good ref who kind of is seeing that, because it's the job of the ref not to name a winner, but to keep the fighters safe because it's so dangerous. And you can see when someone's about to lose. And usually, of course, for the crowd, the ref wants to wait until somebody's knocked out or bloody or something, because people like that. But a really good ref, in my opinion, would stop the fight then, because you see someone collapse. Their chi collapses. They can no longer do this. Even if their hands are still up, inside they've already fallen apart. And it's very interesting. And that quality of fullness in our method is achieved through letting go. So the softer you become, the more full you become. And so it's not an exhausting prospect like it is for the boxer or even some of these dancers, where doing that for a while would be fatiguing. For us, it's rejuvenating because we're letting go. And the more we let go, the more full we become, which is why it's something that even very, very old people can do. Old people like Mel. And it's amazing how that skill.
The guy who's 11 years old. Hey, buddy.
Anyway, so it looks like no questions. Thank you, everybody. Oh, thanks, Anna. Yeah. We appreciate everybody